Almost started this thing without turning the microphone on. That would have been that would have been a little bad. So, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another live stream here on the Budding Watch Enthusiast. I was going to release a video this week that I already had filmed that I just needed to edit, and partially because I am still tired from my trip to Nashville earlier this week for work, partially because a couple companies that I like are releasing or just released brand new watches that are very interesting, and I want to talk about them. And partially because we haven't done this in like a month or so figured it'd be a good time to do a live stream here on the channel. So as you guys come in, say hello and let me know what is on your wrist today, and I'm sure I'll remind you guys that later on. And of course, if you are watching this later on YouTube, I do these occasionally, not on any kind of regular basis. Try to do it once a month. Where, we can talk about a couple news topics, get my quick thoughts on them, and then open it up to questions to you guys in the chat. So we can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Quick wristwatch check for me. I'm wearing the Boulder Expedition, which I am filming the review for this week. So that should be out next weekend for you guys. Morgrag in the chat, what's up, man? Christopher Ward C60 bronze, how appropriate considering the topic that one of the topics that we're going to be talking about today. Let's get right into it. Christopher Ward just released, at least from first glance, 3 of my favorite watches of the year. The new C65 series. Now we'll quickly talk about the C60 Apex limited edition that they also put out, which is $4,000. It's an interesting looking watch, that's for sure. A lot of people say it's overpriced, but it's a limited edition. It's got their in-house movement. It's COSC certified. It's that is for like the true blue Christopher Ward fan. They probably didn't make a whole lot. I would imagine they'll probably sell them all. So no, the ones that I want to talk about though the most are the C65 Dartmouth, the Sandhurst, and the Cranwell, all of which are amazing. Again, at least at first glance, but considering that they're in the C65 line, I can also kind of, I know what the watch generally looks like and performs. But yeah, so let's talk about it. The Dartmouth is one of my favorite Seamaster 300 inspired watches that I've seen. It is clearly inspired by the Seamaster, by like the 60s Seamaster 300, in terms of the dial at least, while still being a C65. This is going to be a lot of people's dive watch of choice now from Christopher Ward. It's probably better than the regular C65, just in terms of aesthetic as well. Obviously, a lot of folks have been commenting on the text logo now at 12 o'clock. I don't think that's going to be a permanent thing, by the way. I'm pretty sure that's just for these watches because from the design language standpoint, it made a lot more sense to put them at the to put it up top and have the stacked text as opposed to how they normally have it where it's justified on the left-hand side. I know a lot of people are going to be really excited about that though. Just don't be disappointed when it's a temporary thing. But yeah, like I said, this watch, the Dartmouth, the dive watch looks really, really cool. If I was buying a Christopher Ward diver, this is probably the one that I'd be buying right now, even over any of the other C65 variants that are out there. Just the perfect color blue. It's got the thin C65 bezel. It's using the updated handset, and just a really clean looking dial. I know a lot of people are going to bemoan the lack of a date window. I don't need it on that watch at all. I think it looks fantastic. Oh, and by the way, too, the other thing with this, with these new C65 lines, now they're not saying, I guess they are saying the movements are COSC certified. So they come with Sellita SW200s in them that are running, that were inspected by COSC and are running inside of the -6 +4 range that is required of that. So that's kind of wild to get that in. What's basically $1,000 watch. I know the only other company that was really doing COSC certification that I'm aware of anyway was Formex in sub $1,000 watches. So again, having that kind of value is also pretty cool. Not that that means a whole lot in the long run. I mean, most Christopher Ward watches that I've had are right around that range anyway, but obviously that's a huge marketing point, a huge selling point for the watch as well. Oh, that's right. And Morkarag says there's the fall coupon also just came out as well. So if you wanted to save $125 if you're in the US, or $100 or £100 rather if you're in the UK, you can do that right now. I don't have the code in front of me. It's, if you search it online, you'll find it. It's not hard to find. Those things are not a secret when it comes to the Christopher Ward coupons. And again, guys, as you're coming in, I see a few more viewers now. Say hey in the chat. Let me know what you're wearing today. Again, I've got the Boulder Expedition on currently. So yeah, the Dartmouth, really awesome. It's coming on the new, the new style Christopher Ward bracelet, which is excellent. I love it on my C65 Triton GMT that I have as well. Oh, and the code 125 CW19. That's the code. Thank you again, Morkrag. Very, very cool. And that's good, I think, through October something, if I'm not mistaken. October. They usually run those coupons for a good long while. So you got plenty of time if that's something you're looking for. Now, these watches aren't shipping now, apparently. These are pre-orders for, I believe, October is when they're going to ship out. But very cool. For me, the pick of the bunch for me, though, is going to be the Sandhurst, which is the field watch design. So this is a very simple numerical field watch layout that they have here. It's in the C65 case, but it has a fixed bezel, so it's not going to have obviously the rotating bezel since it's not a diver. This is an excellent looking watch. It's got a little bit of pop of red both on the seconds hand and on the crown as well. There's a little ring in the crown that has red on it too. Very simple, very classic field watch design. The only thing that I was a little iffy about is it is using the faux patina super luminova, which I'm kind of over at this point. Like it's kind of run its course. It does make sense the way they have it done here. So on this Sandhurst here, they only have it at the hour marks, not even the hour numerals. Those are in white, but the hour marks, the triangle 12, and then the hands are all, that old radium style. And then everything else is just your normal, your normal regular C3. And I guess that makes sense. It offers a bit of contrast that you don't, see on a lot of watches like this. I'm just over it with those type of watches. As far as like the old radium super luminova, it just doesn't really do anything for me anymore. But that's a fantastic looking watch. And again, if you're looking for, a really slim field watch, again, under $1,000, really good price there. The Cranwell I like as well. Like B style Fliegers is not really what I gravitate towards typically. What's up, Watch Lounge? How's it going? What's on your wrist today, man? Curious to know. But yeah, the B style Fliegers with the minute numerals running around, not usually how I go. I forgot to mention too, the Sandhurst is 38 millimeters as well. So you guys that always bemoan watches being more than 40 millimeters nowadays, you have that to look forward to as well, which is very cool. But yeah, so the Cranwell's fine. It's just not really my taste personally. Watch Lounge, you're wearing a Scurfa Diver 1. Awesome. Very cool. I see that all the time on Toxic NATO's Instagram feed. Terry seems to post pics of his incessantly all the time. But yeah, so the Cranwell, like I said, if you're looking for a pilot style watch, it's the 41 millimeter C65 just with a pilot style fixed bezel. But again, still the cost certified boom. That's the craziest thing about this. I'm wondering if this cost certification in these $1,000 watches is going to be something that they're doing going forward all the time, or if this is just a limited edition thing with these new British military models that they just released. Don't know. We'll see. But either way, like I said, 3 excellent watches. Again, Christopher Ward bringing a ton of value. I've reviewed the C65 a couple weeks ago. That was one of the big things that we talked about a lot, or that I talked about a lot in the review rather. Just they keep knocking it out of the park. They really do. Just a really and they have some cool stuff coming. And they just released that moon phase where you can kind of see the moons through the dial when the Luminova lights up, which is very neat. Yeah, just very, very cool. So Watch On says the new Chris Ford looks clean. Love the no date. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I saw a couple other people, and I think Ricardo, one of my cohorts on Watch with us, was lamenting the fact that it doesn't have a date window. But I think a date window would look out of place on most of these watches. You know, on the field watch, it would break up the flow with the numerals. You could get away with doing it at 6, possibly. Like my Sal Baltimore does that, and it's laid out in a very similar fashion. I mean, the diver, yeah, you could have put it at 3, but again, it would break up the flow of that watch a little bit. I will say the only knock that I will put on the diver is it appears from the render that aside from the 12, of course, which is the big triangle, that all of the other hour markers are the same marker. Like there's no differentiation between the markers at the cardinal points on the watch, which is something I normally like to see. But that's a minor nitpick, honestly, because like I said, all of them look absolutely phenomenal. Just fantastic from Christopher Ward. Looking really forward to getting to see these in the metal. I'm sure a couple folks I know will end up picking one up. I'm probably not going to, just because there's other watches that I have my eye on right now. Plus, I'm saving up for a Grand Seiko, slowly but surely. So I'm trying my best not to buy like the next big thing. I'm not trying to do like the dude, looking at the girl behind his girlfriend meme, with my watch buying right now as well. So moving on from there, is going to be the new Hamilton Khaki Pilot Pioneer Mechanical that just released, that is being sold exclusively through Worn and Wound. And I have to say, I really don't care for this watch at all. I understand that it is very much like mimicking a retro Hamilton design. A lot of people are going to buy this watch simply because it's 36 millimeter. Like there's so many people that are going to run out and buy this because of the size. Not because, like I said, you don't get watches like this with the 36 with that 36 millimeter size anymore. That period accurate size. So you're going to see a lot of folks get it just because of that. The reason I don't like it is because, again, it goes back to what I just said, talking about the Christopher Wards. I'm over like the faux patina Luminova. At this point, a watch really has to be special for me to consider looking at that with it has that at this point, because I just feel like it's being overdone, and there's not a lot of watches that are really doing it well at this point. And again, the Hamilton is actually very similar to the Sanford that we just talked about from Christopher Ward, where you have the white numerals and text, and then Super Luminova on the markers and the hands. But again, I'm just kind of over it. And obviously this one wouldn't be one that I would be buying anyway, because it's a little too small for me. I can't really pull off 36 millimeters very well. The other thing about this one is going to be the price seems high to me. And I don't know why it seems high. It's probably high compared to other Hamiltons. And to be fair, this watch is selling for what the retail price would be, and almost any other Hamilton watch you can find on the gray market for like $300 to $400 less than retail. So that's probably what's clouding my view there. But I have a feeling a lot of folks are going to be turned off by the price point on this one. It's $895 on leather, and $845 on nylon. And the reason it's so expensive, again, that's retail price. It also comes with the H50 Hamilton movement, which is whatever ETA caliber it corresponds to, with a bumped up power reserve. This one has an 80-hour power reserve. Yeah, Watch Lounge, 38 is the smallest you can do. What size is your wrist? Because 38 is about my bottom as well. But I also have an 8-inch wrist. So that's why for me, like 38 is the absolute bare minimum that I can go. And even then, it's got to be a watch that goes longer, lug to lug. And yeah, watch that 7.5 inches. That exactly. That's everything else just looks diminutive. And it's not even the width that is the thing that slows me down. It's the lug to lug distance, that being short, and that's even on this Hamilton watch, that's even more accentuated because it's only 42 millimeters lug to lug to remain, in proportion with the rest of the watch. So I think a lot of folks, I feel like this was kind of underwhelming. The reaction that I saw online from a lot of people was not really like effusive in praise, I guess. And plus, I think too, a lot of folks are really starting to get tired of limited edition watches, and we have another one here. So Watchdown says he can do 36 on the Black Bay 36 because those aren't that bad. Yeah, but those also are a little bit longer lug to lug. I would love to get my hands on a Black Bay 36 because everyone says that the fixed bezel Black Bay is one of their favorite tutors that's out there. I'd be curious to see what that looks like on my wrist. Good luck for me finding one with a bracelet that's sized correctly, though, because that's always what I run into. So I'm going to do a whole video on this eventually one day. That's going to be such a niche video because it's only going to be for people with fat wrists. But the biggest annoyance for having a big fat wrist is that whenever you go to like a meetup or like a fair of some kind, if a watch is on a bracelet, I'm not trying it on. I'm gonna hold it up like right next to it basically and just see what it kind of looks like on the wrist, but I'm not even gonna be able to slide it on just because of my giant paw. So BizKicks, what's up, man? Would love to know what's on your wrist today. Do you think the Sandhurst could fill your Rolex Explorer itch for the meantime? It's not really the same type of field watch to me. And I mean, also to be fair, though the Rolex Explorer is a field watch by definition, I don't consider it a field watch by design. For me, for some reason, like that is just like sports watch. Like I don't even classify it into, like the field category or pilots category or whatever. It's just sports watch. Like everyday sports watch is how I classify that. And again, I don't plan on getting the Sandhurst. Like I said, I'm saving up for a Grand Seiko, which is gonna be something that I pick up probably in the next several months once I collect enough money. So that's the other thing too, is I'm trying not to buy stuff that I don't have planned right now, if that makes sense. The only other watch that I am considering picking up while I'm waiting for the Grand Seiko is an EMG Nemo, because I reviewed that watch over on Watch With Us, and I cannot stop thinking about it. It's such a fantastic watch. Go check out my review on Watch With Us. If I do end up buying one, I will re-review it in my typical long form that I do on this channel. But that's the only other watch that I would buy aside from what I'm saving for right now. But the Sandhurst is very cool. Like I said, if I could recommend, but it's not the one I'd recommend out of those three. It's the Diver is the one that I'd recommend out of those three Christopher Ward watches, even though the Sandhurst is my favorite just from an aesthetic standpoint. Super Luminova, notwithstanding. Oh, there you go. So we were just talking about the Black Bay 36. BizKicks is wearing the Black Bay 36 today. Yeah, if I had that watch, I probably would wear it every day too, honestly. So yeah, those were the two watches that I wanted to talk about. If you guys, I would love to hear if you guys have any questions. We can certainly talk about that. While I'm waiting for you guys to put in questions, I will absolutely tell you, if you've not been to Nashville, if you like food and drink, like if you enjoy your food and drink, and you're in the US, then Nashville is definitely a city that you should check out. Had a great time there. I was there for work earlier this week for about 5 days, and it was a fantastic trip. The food was amazing. Got a lot of great beer down there. Tried about 3 different styles of hot chicken. That was my meal of choice. I tried a few other things, but the hot chicken was what I was going for. Because as I put on Instagram, when you're in Nashville, you should do as the Nashvilleans do, and that is eat hot dish. You guys have some good ribs there as well, from a place called Rippy's that's right there in the corner of Broadway and Fifth. But yeah, Nashville's great. Like I said, if you like food, just be prepared to see approximately 150 bachelorette parties going on simultaneously if you're in that Broadway Street area down in Nashville. But like I said, great time, great trip. Biscuits asked, the logo changed from 9 to 12 on the Dartmouth diver. Any preference there? I think on the Dartmouth, it had to be done because it would have looked absolutely silly if they had stuck with the 9 o'clock placement on that watch, because it would have like the only way that they could have gotten away with doing a 9 o'clock logo placement on that watch is if they also had a date at 3. Otherwise, it would have looked it would have thrown off the entire balance of the watch. And I know Terry from Toxic NATOs on Instagram, when I put up the post for this and I put the picture of the Dartmouth in the post, is that he was like, oh, they moved the position of the logo again. I don't think this is permanent. I think they're just doing it with these watches, and they've done it before on a couple other watches as well. Basically, anytime they've put out a chronograph, it has the logo at 12 o'clock with the more centered text. So again, I think it's just for this, just because you have these 3 watches, all of which are no date. That's the other thing too, is that all the other Trident watches, and I correct me if I'm wrong, I can't think of a Trident diver that does not have a date on it, aside from the original C65 Trident diver that I have. And that also is a little offset as well, considering you have something at 9, something at 6, and then you had the little, you have the DBoss logo at 12, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, I think on this watch, it makes sense. Again, I don't care. Like, you can put your logo wherever you want. And it's just a part of the watch to me. I've never found a logo to be so offensive that it's turned me off from wanting to buy something. That's just something that doesn't really enter my equation. I kind of evaluate it as part of the whole. Yeah, bachelor parties in Nashville Watch Lounge. Not only do they have bachelor parties everywhere, but they have something in Nashville that I've never seen anywhere else. And I live in Baltimore, and Fells Point is a big party area as well. I've never seen this in Baltimore. So Nashville, running up and down the road constantly, they have all these like party transportation vehicles. So they have like the pedal bike. So like they have a bartender set up on a trailer, and they have seats mounted to the outside of this trailer that the party goers sit on, and they're pedaling like on bike pedals while they're drinking. So they have the party bike, they have the hot tub truck. So literally a hot tub in the back of a trailer with the bar there as well. They just have the regular bar stuff. So what Nashville was freaking wild. Like I said, I was just completely unprepared for the constant like bachelorette party groups that were down there. And the reason why there's so many is because they on Broadway, they have this like 3-block strip where there's like 40 bars that are all huge, that are all multi-story, all with rooftops, stuff like that. So yeah, bachelorette party as far as the eye can see. Just like everywhere you turn, there's a group of girls wearing the same tank top, basically. So that's what you got down there. Let's see here. Will Blake, what's up, man? I'd like to get my eyes on a C60 Trident diver. You have the C65 GMT, and it's your favorite watch. And you have a 6.5 inch wrist. That's really interesting then, because to me, the Trident diver probably, to me, it works better on bigger wrists. But I'm curious to know if you get like a lot of overhang with the lugs, since you have a 6.5 inch wrist. Now, I will tell you, Will, if you do get the C60 diver, try to get the 38 millimeter version, because the other ones are just going to be humongous on you. And the new ones are solid. And again, I don't know if you saw earlier in the chat, they do have their $125 off coupon going on right now, if it's something that you're ready to do at the moment. Watch On says, love your Orient Triton diver. I think I've seen that on your feed, if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull that up real quick, because if it's the one that I think. Oh, and Biz says small wrists, the C65 fits fine due to the curved lugs and low depth. So there you go. So let's take a look here at this Triton diver. So yeah, I've seen that floating around. It's got a lot going on a small watch, but I know a lot of people that love it. The power reserve, I would have almost preferred if it were a little, if it were a little flatter. Like the fact that it's angled the way it is looks a little bizarre. Like, so if it was even at 12, I think it might have been a little bit of a better look. But that's gonna pretty much be like the SKX replacement, I guess, because I don't know if you guys saw, according to Mark with Long Island Watch, in the wake of these new Seiko 5s that they just dropped that are very SKX like, the SKX apparently has been discontinued, I guess. So that's interesting to see. So you might see a lot of folks check out this the Orient Triton as well. And again, something I need to see in person. I don't think that I've handled one or two Orient watches, but not too many. And actually, you know what? We're talking about the Seiko 5, so we might as well spend some time on that as well. Watchland says, not a fan of the new Seiko 5 line. I am fine with the watches. I am not fine with the lack of like the pro die specs, like not having a screw and crown and stuff like that. I just feel like it's a half-assed effort. If you're gonna, and I understand what they're doing, like they're trying to make it more budget friendly because these are going to come in even cheaper than the SKX line did. And I like the different color options. They're trying obviously to appeal to, to not watch enthusiasts, I guess, with some of the color combos that they have. But that's the only thing that bugs me. Like, if you want to rebrand it, fine. But there's no reason you couldn't have kept the same watch. And had a lot of the same features, stuff like that. So let's see here. More Craig says, any thoughts on the C65 bronze ombre? The ombre was never really, when they first released that C60 ombre, I don't mind the gradient. It's the coloring that I don't like. It's a little too brown for my tastes. And the bronze one is kind of the same thing they have going on here. It's kind of the same. My big issue with this watch would be the same problem that I had with my Squale 1545 that I used to have, where when I first got it, it was really cool and I really enjoyed the color, and then it just kind of wasn't as fun, and I didn't find myself wearing it that often down the road. So let's see. So yeah, it's not really my style. If you're a fan of that other ombre line, getting it in bronze is a neat little thing that they're doing, and I guess that means that the original ombre was popular enough that they wanted to reissue it. But yeah, it's not really for my taste as well. Watchline says, really want a white dial Trident diver. I really like the blue ones that they put out with the new line that just released. Said if I was going to buy one, it would probably be that blue. So I think that used to be a special edition color before this new before the new Mark IIIs dropped out. Let's see here. So Nate C, what's up, man? Wearing the 009. It's going to become a hot commodity possibly here. Yeah, watch that. If you want to let me the Triton when you're done with it, I would be happy to check it out for sure. And yeah. So let's see. Nate C, new Boulder Expedition. Would you buy it? Why or why not? Glad to have caught this live chat. Do you know that that's what I happen to be wearing right now? The new Boulder Expedition. I like it. I will save my full thoughts for the review that's going to come out next week, because I got to make sure that you tune into that as well. It's a good watch. It's got a couple problems, but like I said, when I drop the review next week, we will talk more in depth about that for sure. Alex Estrada, what is up, man? What's on your wrist? Am I still rocking the Monte Sky Quest? Absolutely, I'm still rocking the Monte Sky Quest. That watch is not going anywhere. I actually that was one of the two watches that I brought with me to Nashville last week. So I brought that, and I brought the C65 GMT. Both served me very well. That's the first time that I've actually traveled time zones since I picked up either of those watches. So actually getting to use the GMT functionality was super helpful. So here's what I learned about that, by the way. Two-toned bezels are much more useful than even I thought they would be, because two-tone bezel, what that does is that the big benefit that the two-tone bezel has versus a solid color bezel is just being able to tell generally what time it is in the other time zone at a glance is extremely helpful without actually having to decipher the time, because all you have to do with the two-tone bezel, because it has the day night on it, is you can just glance to see where the GMT hand is on the watch. You don't even have to look for the with the number that it's near. You just have to look to see where it is in terms of positioning on the day or night cycle, and can instantly figure out generally what time it is in the other area. Obviously, Nashville is only an hour behind where I am, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But if I was traveling on another continent somewhere, that would be like an irreplaceable feature for me. So most GMTs that I would recommend picking up after seeing that, I'd probably recommend two-tone bezels. That being said, the SkyQuest is still amazing. So so you got that going for it as well. And the SkyQuest is still the winner if you have to track 3 time zones simultaneously, for sure. Will Blake says it's because Seiko reused the SKX K-shape that folks are mad about the non-screw and crown. They've had Seiko 5 dive watches without it for a while. Yeah, that is, I mean, they very purposefully are making a new version of the SKX, but not doing the stuff that makes the SKX what it is. And then like I said, they're discontinuing it. So which is totally fine, but it just seems like a lesser version of what already existed, if that makes sense. And that's why people, I think, are more upset. Nate C says, need more Christopher Ward 40 millimeter options. Yeah, they started to kind of creep into that with this new Trident line that came out. Now, I will say the C65 line is mostly 41 millimeters, and it's a small 41 millimeter. It's because of the thinness of the bezel and because of how compressed the case is. It wears much smaller than 41. So if you are not feeling the Mark III Tridents, but you want something that's 40 mil, I would check out anything in the C65 line for sure. Let's see. T-Look says, if one was to hoard SKXs, would one choose the 007, 009, 0013, or the orange SKX? I would not recommend hoarding SKXs. I don't think the value of them is going to go up that much over time, even as they get more rare. But if you were going to speculate on one that was going to go up in price, probably the 13 would be that one, just because that one was hard to find anyway, and a little bit more expensive anyway. So as the supply of the SKXs dries up, that's going to be the one that's most desirable by enthusiasts, and therefore the one that is probably willing, able to get the most money. Plus, there's already a ton of 007s out there in the wild, and 009s for that matter. So the market for them is not going to fluctuate too terribly much. But the 13s are a little bit more rare. The orange one is already rare as it is. I think that one is set at where it's going to be, basically. And then Will Blake says, look at any of the J versions. Yeah, I don't know why, but the Japanese domestic ones are more popular, even though they're the same watch. I don't get why that was always a thing that people paid a premium for that. And Morcrag says the 40 millimeter trading has been very successful, and they're looking into expanding the 40 millimeter line. There you go. I don't know why it took them forever to do it. Like it always blew my mind that all of the C60 Tridents before was always 43 millimeter, 38 millimeter, and like there's a huge gap in between those two, and I don't know why it took them, damn near 10 years, I think, to figure that out. But I'm glad that they did, and I'm sure that everyone else out there is as well. And I think it's going to be interesting to see the difference in sales between the 43s and the 40s with these new Mark IIIs, and to see if they possibly dwindle off the 43 a little bit, because 40 is a really good price. Teal'c says, why didn't they ever make a Pepsi bezel version of the 0013? Probably because that was a niche version of the SKX in the first place. Because the 07 and 09s were the ones that probably sold, you know, the vast majority. And when I say vast majority, if I had to pull a number out of the sky, I'd say like 80% of them were probably 07s and 09s. So I don't think they saw a market really for the 13s. And yeah, because it is, I don't think Seiko looks at the modding community all that much. But there was never the customer demand probably for an 013 because the modding community did exist. So that's probably why they never did it. So yeah, guys, like I said, hit me with more questions. I'd like to go at least 10 more minutes. I was looking to get it. I always try to do at least 45 minutes with these. So as far as content to look forward to on the channel goes, like I said, we got the Expedition review coming soon. The video that I was going to post today that I didn't was a video about my favorite brands that I've only ever seen online, watches that I haven't seen in person, but I can't stop looking at watches from, I think it's 4 brands that I listed. So you guys can look forward to that the week after next. And then from there, I don't know because I have a list of topics that I wanted to go down, and I need to look to see what's next. I will also tell you guys that in mid-October, I think it's the weekend of October 13th, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to be in the District Time Fair in Washington, D.C., at least that Saturday, possibly that Sunday as well. If you guys are in the Mid-Atlantic region, I highly recommend checking out District Time. It's a great fair. Very, very casual, but ton of great micro brands are going to be there. And I think Notice is going to be there as one of the brands that was not there last year that I'm looking forward to. There's a full list if you go to the District Time Show website, but if you do attend, make sure you say hello while you're there. And you know, even if I look busy, because I'm going to be taking pictures, filming video, probably talking to John Keel, probably doing watch with us stuff and all sorts of stuff on there. But again, if you show up at District Time, definitely say hey and what's up. And I think there's lots of prizes to possibly be won there as well. So make sure you check that out too. Let's see here. Nate says, well, I want CW to expand the 40 millimeter. I don't need another blue diver, so you'll probably end up with black. I cannot help but buy blue watches. I've determined. Oh, someone asked me earlier too, what Grand Seiko was I looking at? I'm looking at one of the new 9F Quartz GMTs that they just released. I don't want to spend $6,000 on a Grand Seiko, even though that 25th anniversary, blue high beat is one of my favorite watches that I've ever held in person. But I've learned a lot about the 9F Quartz movement, and it's just super fascinating. It's an amazing piece of technology. And they have 3 different models. They have the black with the orange that my friend Johnny has. They have the blue one, which I really don't want to buy because, again, I don't need another blue watch, but don't be surprised that's what I ended up with. I do also really like the yellow black limited edition. And the good news is with all of them, I think they're fairly affordable. They all run from about $300 to $3,500, and then you can get them used from folks for about 25% less than that price, still in excellent condition. I'm still mulling it over though, because like I said, I've got time to wait, or I have time to save, so I don't have to make that decision right away. But I'm very excited to potentially be doing that down the road. But again, that's still months and months and months away. I don't have the capital on hand, nor do I have the watches on hand to be able to unload to be able to do that. I mean, I could do it if I really wanted to, but I'd have to sell off like 3/4 of my current collection to do it. And I don't really feel like doing that at all, because I'd miss those watches way too much. Watch Lounge asks, what's your next purchase? It's like I said, between the Grand Seiko and now I'm 90% certain that I'm going to pick up an EMG Nemo. That watch blew me away with how it's so unassuming when I got it, and I didn't know if I liked it when I first laid eyes on it, but getting to use it for a couple of weeks and getting kind of to know the ins and outs of the watch, it's a really impressive watch. really good build quality, really unique look, because again, it doesn't look like all the other, retro inspired divers that are out there. Just a really fantastic watch. I just need to figure out which color that I want. I'm gonna talk to EMG and see if I can twist their arm and see if they have any of the powder blue ones still lying around. That was a limited edition. But probably the only watch that I buy between the Grand Seiko now is going to be that EMG Nemo. And then I think I'll be pretty satiated for a while. It helps because I have a fair amount of watches, coming in still from other folks. It's scratching that itch. One of the perks of reviewing is that it's that you don't have to go out and buy stuff all the time once you establish some relationships with some people. So Nate says Glycine Combat Sub Diver. The gunmetal bezel can be found for $300 new. Would I advocate this purchase? So I know Glycine got a little bit of a knock once they got acquired by Invicta, but I don't think Invicta's, as far as I know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Invicta has intruded on the production side too much with Glycine. I think it's more of the marketing side. I actually almost picked up a GoldenEye in a trade. I had a watch a few months ago that I was trying to sell that was slow to sell, and someone offered me the GoldenEye for the Combat Sub GoldenEye in a trade, and I came this close to doing it. I didn't end up pulling the trigger just because I'm not a big fan of PVD cases. Like for me, I prefer stainless steel. But that's the only reason I didn't do it. So yeah, 300 new. Let me just pull up this watch real quick so that I'm not so that I know where we are. Yeah, so like I said, it's the regular Glycine Combat Sub design. I like the gunmetal bezel. It's different. Again, the numerals aren't really my deal. I do like the nice contrast though with the yellow markers. That's not quite, the old Radium Super Luminova. It's like I said, Glycines are solid. I know a bunch of folks that have had them. They all give big thumbs up for Glycines. So yeah, I mean 300 new. That's a solid price. I would imagine that even if you don't care for it, you should be able to flip it for close to, if not that price. So yeah, definitely go for it. Biz says Bark and Jack loves his Grand Seiko quartz with its finishing. Yeah, between the thing that the thing that really turned me on to those were his review, and then Horology House did a review as well of the black and orange one. And just getting kind of see, because like those guys are amazing as far as their photography and their cinematography and lighting and all that stuff. So getting to see those watches in the best possible light shows you the reason why Grand Seiko is probably the most underrated watch brand that's out there today. I can't wait to see it in person. I'm sure before I end up picking up the watch for myself that I'll get hands on with Johnny's at some point, because I'm sure we'll meet up sometime in the next couple months. So he'll have it with him then, and I'll get to see that. So I'll look forward to that. You'll see pics on my Instagram when I do. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. So we're gonna wrap it up. Again, I'll take a couple more questions if you guys have a few more, but if not, then we will wrap this up here very shortly. See, the real reason, besides the watches that came out that made me want to do a live stream today, I really just didn't feel like editing. I'm still super tired from my trip. And I will also say, if you guys are video gamers out there, any of you guys out there, I just picked up Slay the Spire on the Switch, and I cannot stop playing that game. It's a deck building game that's also like a roguelike. Really simple, really easy, but just tremendous gameplay hook. Could not recommend that enough. I think it's $25 right now, and they keep adding new stuff as they go along. So Will D says, hello, what's up, man? How you doing today? So you came at just the wrong time. Like I said, I'll wait another minute or two to see if you guys have any more questions before we go. But yeah, so like I said, look forward to that content again. If you are not subscribed to watch with us, make sure you go over there, check that out as well. Still a lot of great content. I love all of the Doc's house call episodes. Chris Vale talking with other micro brand owners has been really, really enlightening experience. Kind of getting to learn the ins and outs of that part of the watch industry has been very cool. And of course, I have my content going over there as well, that you guys can check out too. So that, like I said, that looks like it's gonna be it. We hit 45 minutes. That's what I wanted to do today anyway. Thank you guys so much for those of you that tuned in live and provided me with questions, gave the commentary. Saw a lot of new faces in there today, which is really cool. As always, if I did this more regularly, we could probably build the audience a little bit more. It's just that I don't often have time to do these on a regular basis, but I'm gonna try to start. Like I said, I'm trying to do it at least once a month. So all you new folks that showed up for this, thank you guys so much. And I know, like Nate C, I believe it was, I think you told me before that you always lament missing, you always just miss these. So it was very cool that you got to see it. Will Blake says, glad I caught stream. You're sub 95 in Harford County. You probably will bump into me at some time. I'm in Harford County a lot. So yeah, that wouldn't be surprising at all. And again, like I said, district time is in October. If you guys are in the Mid-Atlantic, DC is not a far drive. It's a great show that I highly recommend checking out. I'll be there this year again as well. But yes, that is it. Again, thank you guys very much for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube later, thank you again to those of you guys in the chat for coming in and doing it live. And we'll do it again next time. Look out for the Boulder Expedition review next week. Till then, see ya.